2019 debut in the books on Tuesday, a New Year's Eve or a New Year's game against North Greenville, 50-point win. Really, we talked about it after the game. Just about everything felt like it went right for you that day. When you went back and watched the tape, how did you assess kind of the ongoing growth that occurred in that game?
No, I was pleased with how we played. I thought we competed really almost the entire 40 minutes. Thought offensively, we're starting to play with more purpose, starting to understand kind of what constitutes good offense in terms of the things that we emphasize and what we preach and the way we play. I think we've talked about this is probably a little more free-flowing than a lot of colleges in terms of pace and in terms of giving guys, concepts to play within and then letting them play within those concepts. We talk about, freedom within structure. And when you have a lot of new guys, that's difficult. It would seem like it'd be easier, it'd be liberating, but in a lot of ways, trying to figure out how to read, react, how to complement each other, how do we play together, the lack of cohesion when you have so many new players actually probably, which is a little bit surprising, probably reared its head more on the offensive end early in the year than it did on the defensive end. And so it's nice to see us start to put some games together where we look more like ourselves. Our roadmap's always been pretty similar in terms of what it takes, how we want to play and how we want to, what it takes to be successful. But good performance. I think we're starting again kind of play with more purpose on the offensive end. I thought our defense was fairly good. Certainly our first shot defense was. They got 14 offensive rebounds. Howell and Tate hurt us inside on second chance opportunities. But we did a pretty good job overall on the defensive end. And then as you look at the numbers, I think last three games, 66 assists and only one turnover the first 31 minutes against North Greenville. So a lot of positives to build on, and now we get ready and try to develop some level of consistency moving forward.
You had already kind of alluded to this, 20-plus assists in back-to-back games now, and I think you've committed, combined for 15 turnovers, over that same span. So when do you think it really started to click for this offense and what it's going to take for it to be successful?
Well, I think just, we kind of came out of the Queens game, I think, with a better understanding that the way we were playing is not going to allow us to have success against the better teams. We've never been an offense, and if you look at, I don't know how many years in a row, but I think we've led the league in assists, 7 years in a row, and we've had obviously really talented guys, but we've played in a way where the ball moves and guys drive and create and play for one another. We want to be unselfish on that end of the floor and work to get great shots. And I thought, the first 8 games through the Queens game, way too much of a spotlight on one guy, 4 guys kind of standing around, and that guy trying to go make a play, which is anathema to, who we are and how we've played. So maybe, losing by 100 at Queens helped drive that point home. It's something we talked about early in the year. We started off 1-2, and we just had to be more collective in what we're doing. The strength of this group is the fact that we have a lot of good players. I don't know that we have, and look, we've had a charmed existence, right? I mean, we've had multiple All-Americans numerous years in a row. We don't have that. We're not going to have 3 Bevo France Award finalists. Probably won't have a Bevo Francis Award finalist. It doesn't mean we can't be a really good team and have a lot of success and play for everything, but it's got to be together. It's got to be collective, and it's got to be on both ends of the floor. And so everything is fragile in terms of moving forward. I think you want to keep driving the points home, hopefully showing them on film, from a standpoint of, look, this is what constitutes good offense. Look, here we have, multiple break the paints, multiple guys driving, multiple guys kicking, and look at the shots that we're getting. And our efficiency levels are much higher, when we play that way versus guys early in the year, settling and taking really difficult shots. We talked about with a few of these guys, you're not having a bad day. You're taking bad shots. You're going to shoot a low percentage every day shooting those shots and guys just understanding it. But there's a lot of when you're in a situation like this where you have a lot of new players and even the guys who are returning really have 2 guys who played minutes. When you look at Scoot and you look at Cam Calhoun, those guys are in completely different roles. So everybody's trying to adjust and acclimate and kind of figure things out, and we're having to do it kind of trial by fire. And guys, we can't bypass that experience piece, but we're learning as we go, and that's the key though is that we keep learning, we keep understanding from our standpoint as a coaching staff. We understand the roadmap of what we've got to be, and it starts with being great defensively and all that kind of constitutes that. There's a lot of aspects of going to being great defensively, easy to say, hard to do, and then on the offensive end, when we talk about this, you simplify it down. It's really about taking care of the ball and trying to work together to get great shots. And we need to continue to do that. And again, we've seen better results the last 4 games on the offensive end doing that. We've shot higher percentages. Anderson, not really, but really the last 3 games, Wingate, Wesleyan, and then North Greenville, we've, I think, looked more like what we should on that end of the floor.
Talk about it, because you kind of alluded to this after the game on Tuesday. You said that the couple practices leading up to that game on Tuesday were 2 of the better practices of the year. How do you think that your team took advantage of that long extended break for the holidays?
Well, we came back. The first 2 days were bad, so I don't know. You hope when you have that break, and I do think it's a really cool thing, that Division II does, giving guys a week off. And so we played the night of the 19th, and guys started trickling back in, I guess, late night the 26th, and we practiced the 27th. And our first 2 practices back didn't look great, and our practices going to Kentucky Wesleyan didn't look great. And it wasn't, we just didn't seem to have the right spirit, the right energy. We talk all the time about, wanting to play with joy and wanting to play with focus and trying to balance that, find that equilibrium where we should enjoy what we're doing. We're among the luckiest people on earth to get to coach and play and the opportunities that we have. And this is supposed to be fun. And but then you got to bring that focus piece to it. And I just something on the 29th clicked, and we really practiced well on the 29th and the 30th and the 31st. And I don't know what it was. If I did, I'd bottle it and figure it out. But I've always believed, we talk with our guys all the time, it starts with your approach. And if your approach is right and you're thinking about the right things and you approach things the right way, approach is going to really color your preparation. It's going to make sure your preparation is appropriate. And then the preparation drives performance, right? I mean, at the end of the day, if your approach is good, then your preparation is going to be right. And if your approach and preparation are right, then you'll be able to go out and perform at your highest level. And that's what, competitive greatness is. And you're trying to go out and compete at the highest level. Our goal has always been to play to our full potential every single game and then continue to move that ceiling higher as we go along, in terms of, we always talk about, be better tomorrow than we are today. And that's kind of been the focus since I've been here. But was really, if I knew what it was that allowed them to practice with that level of intensity and that level of focus, like I said, we would certainly stick to it. But hopefully it's just guys understanding better what it takes to be successful and how important it is to empty the tanks in practice and prepare as well as you can, because that gives you the confidence to go out and play the game the way it needs to be played when you get the opportunity between those lines for those 2 hours.
Newberry here on Saturday. Obviously, we know the things. We go through these every year, the things that make them unique and difficult to play against. But what is it that makes this particular Newberry team a challenge?
Well, I think it's just always the same. You hit on it. I mean, the fact that you look at them and you look at their players, and the years change and the people in the uniforms change. Dave Davis's teams do not change, and I mean that with all respect. I mean, his teams are always, look at them. Nobody plays harder. Nobody gets after it, and more diligently than those guys. They're tough. They really force you to be outside of your comfort zone, and maybe us less than most, because we play fast anyway. But when you look at what they force you to do, they take away your ability to really run plays. You got to make plays. They have good players. I mean, it's a different cast of characters. They lost a lot through graduation, but people will remember Marshall Lang. He was a freshman of the year 2 years ago. I think he's their best player. He's averaging 15 plus. He's excellent. Luke Gibson's a guy that's been around, veteran guy that is playing really well and getting in double figures. And they got a kid, Sales, a new kid, junior that I love inside. He plays hard. He's a brute in there. He's really physical and competes. And they do the same things. They're going to get into the ball. They're going to deny. They're going to press. They're going to trap offensively. They're going to fly it at you, and they're going to force you to really get back and sprint and set your defense. And then they're going to, put unbelievable pressure in terms of the point of attack, trying to get their shoulders by. And you got to be great on the ball. You got to be great in your gaps and really be sturdy in those gaps and tighten your gaps, because otherwise they're going to get the ball to the rim. And then they do create. They're a great offensive rebounding team, partially physically because they get you in so many rotation box outs where you're helping and they're shooting, and they got guys crashing from the weak side. And then I think Dave does a great job when their system, because most people don't want to run back on them. They send 5 the offensive glass, so everybody's got to check out. It's got to be a 5-man rebounding team every single shot that goes up on their end. So they put it's definitely a different challenge. I told our guys, because so many of the guys haven't played them before, it'll be different than anything they've experienced before in terms of the style of game, the pace of the game, how hard you got to play, and how quickly we'll have to rotate guys in and out, and he'll platoon guys every 2 minutes. So you got to understand and understand the matchups and who you're matched up with and who you're guarding, and everybody's got to know personnel. So it's different in a lot of capacities.